All right. So I told everyone I would try this, so we're gonna try this. Just gonna go through character creation and use that as a bit of a test to make sure everything's working properly, really. Um, Gonna play on normal, see how that goes. I don't remember what setting I played on last time. It was probably story or easy, but we'll see. So,
5 wagons grope blindly for the path on a starless night, their master glancing ever upward to the skies for assurance that he is on the right course. A dim lantern his only protection against the encroaching darkness. But the skies bring no comfort, shining no light, betraying no hint of what they know. The caravan carries travelers bound for the frontier hamlet of Gilded Vale, you among them, where a local lord has offered land and wealth to settlers from abroad looking for a fresh start. You have taken suddenly ill, sweating and shivering, and one of the other travelers signals for the caravan master to stop on your behalf. He pulls up just in time to avoid plowing into the trunk of a fallen tree that bars the way ahead. You will go no further tonight.
so we're gonna go to character creation, but like even just in that snippet, there's several interesting things. Like, first of all, like the very setup for this already establishes like the colonial sort of like overtones and like themes that are referenced through this game and the next game. And I would assume, based on what I know in Avowed, at least reference in Avowed. Um, but like the whole, settlers from abroad coming because the local lord has like promised lands, like, that's a huge thing historically. And obviously, like a lot of like the quote unquote westward expansion or whatever that was done in the US was done by the US government selling farmland to people that were, like were in need, like were desperately in need in a lot of cases. Not all, obviously, but that is how that process worked in a lot of cases, right? Taking advantage of people's need to have, housing and a source of income and land. Um, and you're also not given an option to play from someone that's local to the area at all. Like I think that's specifically in the cultures part of character creation, but also the sort of voiceover there, like it said specifically only from like people abroad, where sort of the offer was only open to those people. So just little interesting details. um, I actually have a specific sort of portrait that I want to use. Um, so we're going to go through character creation pretty quickly. Um, by popular demand, I'm going with Cipher. I was thinking about doing a priest, but I know some folks wanted to see Durant's the priest companion, so we're gonna go with a Cipher instead. Um, Need to have Whisper of Treason, but the second one I'm not quite so clear on. We'll just go with that one because that one does requires 10 focus. These all require 10 focus. Yes. Okay. Let's just go with that one. That one does damage. Doesn't risk your allies either. So, um, hmm, hmm. I know that technically you can dump Resolve and Constitution is like the min-maxy way to do it, I think, but um, that makes me anxious, and also I'm not playing on the hardest difficulty anyway, so I'll probably bring down Might a bit. Let's just go with that for now. Should be fine. Like I said, I'm not exactly playing on the hardest difficulties here, so. And we're going to be from Old Valia, um, which is, from what I can tell, like and what I can remember, the like the black folks in this setting are all from Old Valia, which is, or at least that's where they're most common and where they may have originated from. I'm not entirely clear on that. But it's kind of interesting because from what I remember, Old Valia is kind of like your late Renaissance, early pre-modern Italy, basically. Like it says here, once the crown jewel of the southern seas, Old Valia is now the crumbled remnants of an empire of warring merchant nations. Counting many humans and dwarves among their ranks, the Old Valian countries are still forces to be reckoned with and are proud of their rich cultural heritage. Yeah. A lot of these other ones are really interesting. Like, personally, I find the way that one's quite interesting conceptually and so on. Um, I think the Ixomitl plains are probably the ones that are like closest in terms of like pure location to where this game actually takes place. Um, anyway, okay, it is kind of interesting that the Ixomitl plains here, part of it. So the Ixomitl culture is one of the oldest in the world, though one of the least imperialistic, having spread out little over the past several thousand years. Um, Slightly interesting given that from what I remember of the Ixomitl plains, there are at least like a lot of like references to Aztec culture. And calling them not imperialistic is not yeah. I mean, obviously these cultures aren't one-to-ones at all, but it's just a little detail. Um, so we're gonna go with merchant here because I have a bit of an idea for this woman's backstory, and I totally forgot to pick a name for her. Hmm. That's a problem. I really love this character portrait. I think it slaps, so we're gonna go with this one. Kind of get like a brown, darker brown. Okay, it's as black as it goes. Just go with that one because I don't think there's any longer options really. So games like this are typically not exactly known for their hair physics, so the hair options tend to be pretty short. Just go with that. Let's see, let's pick a voice now.
Eh? I've got this. Let's go. Nice and slow. Yeah? Watch and learn. I'll teach you a lesson.
They won't see me coming. Yes?
God, it's so funny. The first three sound fairly similar, but then there's this one, which is definitely...
Leading the way. To whispers and shadows. I shall lead us. Death to our enemies!
I'll go on ahead.
I'm here. I'm flattered.
That was very, very cheerful.
They'll never know I'm here. Yeah? Follow me. Let's go! My eyes are peeled. Hey there.
And just go with this one for now. Oh, crap. I forgot to come up with a name. Let's see. What's the first thing that comes up on Google when I type in female Italian names? uh, Wikipedia, Reddit. Let's see. What sounds interesting? Costanza is kind of fun. Irene. Loretta. Like 500 variations of Maria. Cilia, Chiara. Chiara or Costa. Let's see. Lucia. Behind the name's always fun. Let's see. What do you have for female Italian names? A lot of them, obviously. Isadora, Loretta, Lavinia. Lydia, of course. Lucretia. Lucretia sounds. I could think about that one. Ornella. Trinula. I just named a D&D relative that, so let's not do that. I think I like Lucretia, so let's go with that. Oops. All right. All right. So, Caravan Master Odema. The Caravan Master finishes addressing the group, his bushy red mustache and sagging jowls quivering as if for emphasis.
Everybody stays close to the wagons, got it? Stay out of the woods, and beasts take you if you are planning a stroll through those ruins up there.
He nods towards a looming black mass on the hillside.
Whole area's crawling with hut-dwelling types who'd be happy to stick an axe in you for trespassing. So mind that you don't track mud on their sacred blazing rocks.
Yeah, remember when I said the colonial theme started really early? Yeah. uh, Nothing quite like basically trespassing on sacred ground.
Tonight, everybody stays put, and in the morning we'll get the path cleared. Gilded Vale's less than a day out. Understood?
At last, the caravan master turns to you, frowning as he looks you over.
Touch of the rumbling rot, could be. There's a stinging beetle round here, carries it. You'll be fine once it passes your innards. Unless you don't drink water, course. Which case you'll be dead in a day.
So, diarrhea? That's what I'm hearing. Maybe diarrhea and vomiting?
There's a berry grows in these parts, small and pink, called a springberry. About the size of a fingernail. Give you cramps if you eat it, but the frontiersmen make a tea from it. Calms the insides. Should get you through the night. You might check around, see if you can find some. Meanwhile, I'll see if we can scare you up some water. I know you want to hunt before it gets much darker, but see about refilling our water first. Got a sick one here.
Odema looks over his shoulder at his assistant, a lanky, intense man named Sparshel, who carries an old, sun-bleached blow. And he nods in your direction. Sparshel nods and slides the worn bow over his shoulder. Let's see. What are these ruins?
Nothing you won't see on half the hills of Air Glonfoth. Money to be made selling their knickknacks in Defiance Bay, if you don't mind getting stuck with Glonfoth and arrows now and again. They didn't build them, but I'll be the effigy if they don't watch them like a mother bear.
Yeah, so, they didn't build them, so the fact that they're sacred ruins doesn't matter because they don't have, original claim on them or whatever. That seems to be at least the justification that this character is giving us, certainly. And he certainly doesn't care about, respecting the beliefs of the locals, let's put it that way.
Of course, all the ones around here have been ransacked 10 times over. Got nothing left worth half a pawn. So I hear.
Who did build those ruins?
Got different names for them. Settlers called them Ingwithans. Nobody that liked them enough to stop them becoming ruins, tell you that much.
What are these huge rocks coming up out of the ground?
They don't got Audra where you come from? Well, it just grows up out of the ground like this. Goes deep like tree roots. Some of it all the way to the heart of the world, you believe the stories. It's more like a shell than a proper rock. Easier to work if you're a mason. Got all kinds of strange properties. Seems to have some kind of life of its own. Dies if it gets dug up. Loses its luster. Folks think it probably grew at one point or another, but not these days. The soul butchers in Defiance Bay use it for different things. I've heard tell it can hold a man's soul, but I don't care to see it. Got enough to worry about without seeing something like that.
Is it dangerous out here?
Not if you hurry about your business. And not if the weather holds up.
There is concern in his tone, but he does not elaborate. What kind of weather do they get out here?
This time of year? Rain mostly, and wind. But there's a different kind of wind out here time to time. Locals call it a beawick. Born out of the ether, the spirit's path. Never seen it myself, never cared to.
I'll go see about those berries, then.
Hold on. Take someone with you. I know you're not some helpless tenderfoot, not like most of this lot. But you drop dead, I don't want to be looking for the body. Got a schedule to keep.
He scans over the travelers, resting his eyes at length on a sturdy, armor-clad woman who has spent the journey's night sleeping on uneven ground without blanket or pillow.
Kalisha. Kalisha!
The woman looks up on her own time. Interesting, the voiceover doesn't continue there. Either way, Caravan Master Odema says she needs to find some springberries. Watch that she doesn't drop dead.
No promises.
What kind of guide says something like that?
Kind you can afford.
Don't listen to her. You're in good hands. And I pay too well, if anything.
I love Kalisha. She's great.
Off with you. Hayadin should have supplies. See that you're equipped before you head out. We're in harsh country. Get your berries and hurry back. And if you get so much as a tickle of wind, you drop everything and you run. Something in the air tonight. If it's a Beawick, we'll shelter in the ruins. Hut dwellers be damned.
You heard the man. Let's get going before you keel over.
Okay. So from what I remember, how do you...
Sure.
From what I remember in the language, it kind of
Hey
seems
there.
like,
Sure. Hey there.
um, it seems like the locals, and certainly at least the language, I have to assume is based on Welsh. We'll see.
You'll
I
never know I'm here.
don't remember a ton about that edge of the details, so we'll see. Let's see. Do I remember how to open up formation? Can you not manually assign? Oh, right. There we go. Okay. Now, do I have a bow? No, of course not. That would be too easy. All right. Get my little space piglet pet. Gotta have that. It's essential.
What you need?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
Anyone need supplies? I've got sundries for sale.
Hayden, you see a man wearing simple but mostly neat clothes. He's transfixed, however, by a ragged tear in the seam of his tunic.
Brought a whole wagon full of goods to sell, but not enough shirts for the road.
He scratches one cheek with his knuckles. It's covered with uneven stubble, as if he hasn't quite got used to shaving on the road.
Say, is there anything you need? I've got some basic traveling supplies for sale if you'd like to take a look. I'm a
Who are
trader,
you?
originally from the Adir Empire, but I've been trying to establish new business out here. Life on the road has brought some unexpected challenges, to be sure. And I'm sure you've noticed how prickly the locals can be. But we're here to make the most of things, right?
Hmm. We might as well try.
Something else you need? Looks like we're settled for the night.
Why'd you move all the way out here?
Because it seemed friendlier than Raid Saris? My brothers took over the family mercantile business a few years ago, and there wasn't enough for me to do back home. I moved out to try and expand.
And again, colonial themes. Someone from the Adir Empire decides to come to the Frontier TM, or an equivalent at the very least. Hayden shrugs. Deerwood is a former Adir colony, so it seemed like a good place to start. And as much as I admire the Raid Saren's work ethic, they've always struck me as a little fanatical. Sounds reasonable enough. Tell me about the Adir Empire.
It's not as big as it used to be, but it's still big. The mainland is a continent northwest of here, but the colonies used to include Raid Saris and the Deerwood. About 150 years ago, Deerwood won its independence from the Empire. A fact our companions are quick to remind me of.
Yeah. So from what I remember, I don't know if there are any actual active colonies. So we might technically be in a post-colonial era in this part of the game. I mean, at this point in the timeline. but definitely not post-economic colonialism, at the very
I'll have your
least.
water soon enough. Stream's not going anywhere.
Super polite, that guy.
Let's check by those outcroppings. We shouldn't stray too far. Hmm?
2 per encounter, so just do that.
Yeah?
Okay. Alright.
Sure.
I forgot how long like the lore text for pretty much every single item is. That'll be something to read and remember.
I'll take a peek.
This is it.
Felicia. Odema said something about you being in business for yourself. This is the part because of the background I chose. I ran a shop. Kalisha. Yeah, how is it you happened to come here? Let's see. The competition hired men to destroy my shop. Slightly more complicated, but Kalisha says, I know what that feels like. You really can't trust anyone, can you? Kalisha breathes in her surroundings. Been a long time since I've been this way, but I always did like it. Lord Raedric's offer makes a girl think, I'll give him that. You here to settle like the rest of the lot? It's a hard offer to pass up. Kalisha, you won't find many offers like it in these parts, believe me. Got some big plan in store? I'm gonna settle here and start a new life. Well, who knows? Raedric prays well enough, maybe we end up being neighbors. Anyway, I'm wasting time here. Odema will give me an earful. Let's be on our way. Let's see. What can you tell me about the Deerwood? I'm not much for history, but from what I know, it used to be part of the Aedir Empire. Broke off after a war some years back. The locals here are feisty, and that's how they like it. I've been out of touch, but I've been hearing weird kinds of things about it lately. People having trouble giving birth, I guess. A lot of them. Been going on for years now. But pardon me. But somehow it's getting worse. With an uneasy tremor in her voice, she adds, I'll have to ask my sister more about it. Why are you here? Kalisha sighs unevenly. Her eyes search the ground at her feet. My sister moved out here some time back. She sent me a letter. She seemed worried, but that's how she always is. This time, though, she asked me to come out, and that's got me a little worried. I haven't seen her in ages. Been doing guide work in Ixamado. But I'd do anything for her. She's a much better woman than me. So I'm here, and we'll see. Odema I've worked with before. He doesn't usually drive a route this way, but he's doing it for me. Tell me about yourself. I've got simple needs. I like open skies and far horizons. I find work that lets me live that way. My family wanders, too. We started in Deerwood, but my parents ended up in the Living Lands. I've got a brother in Rawatai and another in Aedir. My sister in Gilded Vale. She's the only real homebody. All right, let's get back to camp. Kalisha says, I wouldn't hold my breath that Sparfle's getting your water anytime soon. He does what he feels like when he feels like it. We should check up on him first. Slap him around a little. Stream's just down that way. Come on, let's get you your water. You did indeed kind of seem like that kind of character. But we're going to explore a little first because I know something happens when you go back to camp. And we might as well pick up everything that we can before that.
What a surprise. Sparfle went hunting. At least he left the water skins. Come on.
You crouch at the riverbank and dip your water skin into the cool water while Kalisha waits nearby, keeping watch. As you rise, you notice her looking up sharply towards the tree line. Out of the trees emerges Sparfle, one of the guides, barely discernible in the dim moonlight. He no longer carries his bow, and there is a strangeness to his gait, his stride wobbly as he moves towards you with labored breath.
Sparfle? Are you all right?
Sparfle's toe catches on a rock and he collapses forward in a heap, the feathered shaft of an arrow planted between his shoulders like an enemy flag.
Ambush!
You know, I'm pretty sure this is our first introduction to the local Ingwithans. Yeah. Or Ingwithans would have been the predecessor race, the local Glenfathans. And yeah, Glenfathan Hunter. Glenfathan Hunter. Yeah, so, you know, just interesting to note. First encounter with the locals after, you know, the caravan master gave you that introduction is you're being attacked when you're getting water for no reason, as well as again, that's how the narrative is portraying it, in any case you're probably arguably trespassing at the very least. But
Hey
in
there.
terms of combat, you're going back there, and you are going here. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The thing about ciphers
Come
is
on,
that
we
it
have to
take a
get back to
while
camp.
to build up their class
Sure.
resource, and you can't use any abilities until they do. So, give you a bow and switch to that. Oh, I'll switch to that armor. That unfortunately does not look good, but oh well. Cosmetics. Narrative tells us we should be rushing, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually matter. So we're going to explore a little bit more. If I can do that. Oh. And, you know, some lovely corpses on the ground. Just, you know, just regular dark fantasy things. Okay. I think there's a section of the map we might not get to explore because, well, either way.
What you need?
Let's see. Let's try that.
Mm-hmm. Hey there. Sure.
I'll teach you a lesson.
Brainwashing is always great.
I'll teach you a lesson.
Wait, does that work on... Oh. It says enemies caught up in the target, but that might not be just enemies. That's annoying.
Sure.
Don't think it's supposed to work like that, but annoying. Anyway. Yeah. Glanfathan leader. All around you lie the massacred remains of the other travelers, peppered with arrows and knife hits, hilts, splayed and bug-eyed and filthy. Kalisha puts the back of her left hand to her mouth as if to ward away some poisonous vapor. A handful of dark figures stands above the fallen, treading on limbs and backs and heads, jerking their axes from bodies as if from half-split logs. One of them, towering severe, with a thick beard tasseled with knots, holds a wet blade at the neck of the man you recognize as Heodin, the last of your caravan left standing. Landfathen leader. Lay down your arms, trespasser. Do not forfeit this man's life for a fight you will lose. So, yeah, again, intro to this is you are arguably probably trespassing on sacred land, or at the very least you're, an armed caravan or semi-armed caravan sitting ominously outside of like ruins that have been looted before. You get attacked by the local, essentially indigenous people, and this is all like portrayed as like a horror scene from your point of view, which is like, it's not that stuff like that, it's not an unbelievable situation, like, but it's also very, very typical, shall we say. This is very typical, like, settler fiction. This is definitely not the first time something like this has been, like, written about in this way. Anyway, let's see. The ruin has not been sullied by our hands, men of Erglanfath. Your words carry no weight when I have seen the truth with my own eyes. Blood must be paid for this intrusion. And of course, they're also being portrayed as, like, unreasonable, right? Like, that's the other part of this. So I say again, lay down your arms. Hayden, don't trust them. They mean to kill us all. Let's see. And I should probably take a moment to talk about the backstory of my character here. I was thinking that she ran a bookshop, actually, back in Old Valia. That's why she has the merchant background and gave those responses. But shall we say a semi-legal one? Perhaps had some pamphlets, some other books that the authorities found interesting. I don't necessarily think she is super radical herself, but she's definitely more interested in facilitating the spread of knowledge and getting her customers what they want than following what she sees as unnecessarily restrictive and like foolish laws. And so, in terms of, her saying that the competition hired someone to, like, sabotage her business or whatever, that was probably true, but the sabotage they did was probably more related to revealing, other parts of her business and so on. So, but I think she's certainly interested in learning and traveling and so on. So, anyway. Judging by the string of animal teeth around your neck, I am guessing you are worshippers of Gallowayne. If Gallowayne told you to stop protecting the ruins, would you? Actually, why would you say that? Let's see. If I put down my weapons, we're all dead. You are all dead anyway. The gods demand their penance. The man drives his axe through Hayden's spine. The body gives one convulsive twitch before dropping at his feet, lifeless. The man raises his axe high as he begins to charge. So yeah, again, like, there's definitely an aspect of, like, them being portrayed as, like, entirely unreasonable, right? And it's like, man, it's definitely on purpose, let's put it that way. Or at least I hope it's on purpose, because through not thinking very hard if it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah? I'll see you.
God, I love her. It's such a great ability.
Sure.
Your enemy lies supine on the ground, unable to rise, his companions now silent among the other dead. His breath comes out in wheezing, fitful gasps. He looks not at you, but at the sky above you. Forgive us. Barely audible beneath his choked sighs, a whisper of wind stirs the air. At this, the man's eyes roll black as he closes them. Good, good. The gods are just. A queer smile crosses his face. I am ready. The wind begins to swell, whipping around the camp, electric and volatile, upending pots and rattling tents like an angry spirit. You can feel it begin to seep beneath your skin, and where it pierces you, it feels as though it is rending you apart from within. Seated against a wagon wheel amidst the howling maelstrom, slashed across chest and bowel, Odema's body stirs, and with great effort he raises his sagging head, his eyes barely open. He looks directly at you.
Get inside! Run!
And there's the bivouac. Straining against a gale that threatens to pull you off your feet with every step, you set your hands in the worn folds of weathered rock and set about pulling yourself up the precipice. With a last burst of energy before your arms give out, you swing yourself up onto the ledge. There is a deep resonance to the wind now. You feel it in the rocks beneath your feet and inside the cavity of your own chest, as though it would shake the marrow from your bones. Each new gust menaces the old stones before you, loosening connections, unsettling balances. As you dart beneath the old archway, the entire portal begins to fall beneath its own weight.
That was... We should be dead. We can't stay here. There could be another collapse. We're not getting out that way anyway. Let's get further inside.
Yeah. All right. I think I'm going to end this section here just to keep it somewhat concise and see how the rest of it goes. But yeah. So like I said, that's the interesting thing. Like, it's not like necessarily that anything about that first scene or confrontation is unbelievable or, you know, unreasonable or whatever, but the fact that it's the very first one and it's presented the way it does, like, the first scene of anything is like a really important way to open up like the piece of media and introduce the readers to the setting, right? So the fact that they chose that to be like the first scene is definitely something. Yeah. Alrighty.